I looked at what educators needed to do to form those partnerships with families so that the writing skills and strategies that students are learning at school can also be developed at home. Reading Rockets says that the children imitate the adults around them, so they're watching as adults write or read around them. Writing is difficult to learn, and the parent involvement that can happen can help those young writers form the strong writing skills or have a lifelong impact on their writing, and also make this process more enjoyable since writing is very hard to learn. Parents should create a place to write. These places should be specified for writing, so a desk or a area where a student can sit down and write whatever they want to. They should be able to provide materials for their student for writing and then brainstorm ideas with their child. NAEYC recommends that the parent should display their child's work in a special place, so on the fridge or on the wall. The parent should also write in front of their child and talk about it. So they need to say what they're doing, and I'm writing this because, and this is important because. And then they need to invite their child to dictate stories. So they need to ask them what they're doing and explain what's happening. And maybe as they're playing, they can talk about what's happening with their Barbie dolls or their cars or whatever. And then create greeting cards for special occasions. So you can make Christmas cards of your child or birthday cards. And then create an office for your child. This can also go back to creating a space for them to write. Involve your child in writing while running errands. So you can, for example, go to the grocery store and give your child the grocery list and tell them to mark off the items they've bought, or they can help you in writing the grocery list. And then put writing materials around the house. So there should be pens and markers and crayons in almost every room of your house so a child can interact with those items. And then write outside of paint and chalk, etc. So your child should not just be writing inside, but also outside, so they can have that multisensory engagement with writing. And then also to make writing an everyday part of your child's life. So to make sure your child knows that writing is important and it's an essential skill that they'll need for their future. Scholastic says that the ways to support writing at home for children ages 3 to 5 would be to help them learn the letters of the alphabet. So that would be like reading ABC books or playing later matching games and making letters with Play-Doh. They also say to take pictures of something interesting or an activity that the child likes to do, and then use those pictures to create a story. They also suggest to keep a portfolio of your child's writing so that they will know what their writing looked like before, and then maybe a year from now what their writing looks like now, so they can look back at how they progressed. And then they need to bring writing materials wherever they go. So if you're at the doctor's office or you're at a restaurant, you can have paper or pencil, crayon, so your child can sit and write or color. Celebrate their writing by hanging it up. So make sure that the parents need to know they need to make sure they are the child is aware that they are excited about them writing. They're excited to show others their child's writing and that they're proud of them. And then Scholastic says ways to encourage young writers that are ages 8 to 10 would be to help them make a book. Also, they could create a day in the life writing piece, so they could pick an inanimate object such as like their teddy bear or like their Nintendo Switch, and they can talk about the day in the life of their Nintendo Switch. And then they could create an if I were writing piece, so someone famous, someone they look up to, or if they were a teddy bear for the day, what would happen. And then a pass it along story, so you would have to have 3 or 4 players, and when each player writes a sentence down, and then they hand it to the next player, and they write a sentence down, but then they cover the top sentence up and hand it to the next person. And then at the end, they get to see what the story looks like, and how funny the story is because the other person didn't know what the first person had wrote. And then a poetry puzzler, so you would write a list of words down for your child, and they would have to make a poem with those words in them. And those are just some tips and strategies that you can share with parents to help their students or their children have better writing skills and develop those writing skills and confidence in writing.